Am I audible? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, how are you doing today? Sorry for the delay. Actually, I got an urgent call, so I just had to take that up. Sorry for the
Yeah,
delay.
ma'am.
Yep.
No issue, no
Okay.
issue, ma'am.
How are you doing?
Fine, ma'am. Alhamdulillah. What about you?
I am also doing great. Thanks for asking. What are your shift timings usually?
Ma'am, in Ramadan, it's from 2 to 11. 2 afternoon to 11 night.
Oh, so you
Yeah,
work
this
till
is a
late.
type of 9 hours duty. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
And what
ma'am. Yeah.
about the other times after, because Ramzan will be over by this month end, I guess, right? Then what about your shift timings after that?
Yeah, yeah, ma'am. Most of the time, it would be like afternoon. Sometimes, once in a month, there's also a 1 week night duty that starts from 11 p.m. to morning 8 a.m.
Okay,
But
okay,
most of the time, it is afternoon. Yeah.
okay. But you'll be available at this time, right? The timings that we have kept for the class, correct?
Yeah, ma'am, definitely, ma'am. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, understood. Great. And if I may ask, why are you planning to, like, you have given me your introduction already, but still, why are you planning to give this TOEFL IBT
Yeah.
test, if I may ask you?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I'm trying to get equivalency license in the US for the to practice as a pharmacist there.
Mm-hmm.
It is preliminary requirement from the Board of Pharmacy in the US
Mm-hmm.
to first get this exam passed and then sit in the professional subject exam of the pharmacy. But this is preliminary to do it before that exam.
Okay. And you have checked if this exam is accepted over there, right? You have confirmed if TOEFL IBT
Yeah,
test is accepted over there, correct?
yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Great. No problem. So let us get started. Today we'll get started with the TOEFL IBT test format first. Uh, okay, I would still ask you
Yeah.
to cross check
Uh,
once, okay, if TOEFL IBT test is accepted over there and TOEFL IBT is accepted over there, just to confirm, okay? Because you told me TOEFL, I'm sure. The TOEFL
yeah.
Essential, there are two tests actually, TOEFL Essential and TOEFL IBT. Okay, so just cross check once and let me know which TOEFL do you want to go for. The format is not very different, just little bit difference will be there, but of course we can cover both of them, so don't worry. Okay, so for my surety, just
Yeah, actually,
okay.
yeah, ma'am, actually,
Yeah, you go on. Sorry.
yeah, ma'am, I told you before that I had gone through this test 2 times. It is totally this TOEFL IBT only. Yeah,
Correct, right?
accepted.
Okay.
Not essential. Yeah, IBT. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And what were
yeah.
the
And
issues that you faced when you gave the exam previously? I guess I had asked you to share the test reports also, the previous test reports. Have you shared them with me?
I didn't, ma'am. I will do it today.
Do that, yeah, just for my reference. It's not very important, but just for my reference,
Yeah,
where I
sure.
understand where you are
Yeah,
lacking and what is the exact issue that you're facing. Say, most of the students, they usually
yeah,
face an issue with reading or speaking. Okay, these
yeah,
are two skills that students usually require help with, but still, you
yes,
could
ma'am.
just send a score report, so it gives me a clarity. Okay, but you can tell me
Yeah,
otherwise also, what is the exact issue that you faced?
yeah. Ma'am, actually, the same. I faced this reading also. I received 13 in the last exam, and speaking, it was okay. I think it was a stroke of luck that I received 24 out of 30. I don't think that I was deserving this 24.
Okay.
But even then, I
Uh-huh.
think my wife was sitting on the musalla and she was praying for me all the time. That's why I received 24.
That helped, I guess, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about listening and writing?
Ma'am, listening is also challenging for me, but somehow I received 20, 19, like this 21, the last test I received. But ma'am, I think I need to reframe everything for me because
Of
this is,
course.
yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, because you will need to give test afresh, correct? Even if you have scored if you scored low in only one skill, you will still need to give the whole test. Okay. because somehow
Yeah.
TOEFL does not have one skill retake, so you need to give the whole test again. So that's the con of it, I would say, to be frank. But it's
Yeah.
okay. Now you know how the test is. I wish you would have reached out to me
Yeah.
earlier. I could have helped you before giving your first test, so you could have
Yeah.
scored better in the first go itself. And we
Yeah.
we we could have
But
gone through mock tests also, so that would have been helpful rather than giving the full test on your own and paying, you know, around 17,000, eighteen
yeah,
thousand
yeah,
over
yeah.
there.
That's
You could have just reached out to me. I would have helped you in a
yeah.
better way. But no worries. It's better
Yeah.
late than never,
I would.
correct?
Yeah, this time. Yeah, I hope this time it will help me a lot, Risha, because I like their videos and they
Thank
have
you.
teaching.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you. Thank you. That's really helpful. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get
Uh,
started then. As you know, I'm Susmita. I will be taking your training for the whole course. I have been training for more than 5 years
yeah.
now. Overall, I have 8+ years of work experience. I am an official examiner for
Yeah.
Cambridge examinations. I am a certified examiner for TOEFL GRE. I am also certified,
Yeah.
not examiner, I am a certified trainer for TOEFL and GRE. I am also a certified trainer for
Yes.
IELTS and PTE. Okay, and along with that, I do corporate
Yeah.
trainings also. I have some corporate experience as well. I take up corporate trainings also for soft skills and other skills like behavior skills and everything. So that's a little bit about me. I am sure you have gone through my profile already, so I don't need to bombard you with all
Yeah.
my details. Otherwise, the the whole session would go for my introduction if I start with it. But yes, that's a little bit about me.
Those.
I have done my MBA in
Yeah.
IT. I have done my masters in TESOL, and currently I'm doing my third master's degree, that is masters in English literature, because I'm planning to go for PhD soon. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about me.
Sure.
And yeah, let us get started with the test format. You might already know, but we are just going to skim through it quickly. As you know, TOEFL
Yeah.
test is 2 hours, less than 2 hours test, and of course, it assesses your reading, listening, speaking, and writing skill. Understand this, that TOEFL IBT is English proficiency test. It tests your English language skills in an academic setting. Okay,
Yeah.
it is not an aptitude test as such. Okay, that's one thing. Now, along with that, TOEFL IBT test is an integrated test. You already know that. What do we mean by integrated? That whenever you are asked questions, whenever you're asked to write or speak, the skills would be integrated just the way it's there in a natural academic setting, correct? For example, right now you are
Yeah.
reading something which is given on the screen. Of course, I'll be sharing the TOEFL guide with you also, so you will be reading the TOEFL guide,
Yeah.
and I would be teaching you the same aspect, and then using both information, you would be putting it forward in your own words, correct? When you make your own notes, that is how your TOEFL IBT test is
Yeah.
also. You will be reading a passage, you will be listening to a lecture or a conversation, and based on that, in response to that, either you
Yeah.
have to speak or write. So that becomes helpful. Other tests, what they do is they just give you a topic and ask you to speak on it. So you don't only have to produce your language, but you also have to keep thinking of what points you can speak on. Here you don't have to come up with points, you just have to work on your language skills. That's what becomes beneficial
Yeah.
as a student. Okay, now whenever you have to speak, except one task, all the other tasks you will be asked to read, then listen to it, and then speak on it. In the task number 4 of speaking,
Yeah.
we'll go through each task also, but to give you a brief, in
Yeah.
task number 4 of speaking, you will just be asked to listen and then speak in response to it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in
Yeah.
writing also, you will read a passage just like the actual academic setting. You will read a passage, you will listen to a lecture, and then you will write in response to it. Okay, that's how your TOEFL task test is. Now,
Yes.
overall,
Yeah.
first you get started with a reading passage. Okay, for reading passage, overall you have
Yes, ma'am.
35 minutes, and you have two passages in this. Your passages will be actual academic passages, so they are expected to be a little longer. Okay, You will
Yeah.
read two passages which are, say, about 700 words long. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But
Yeah.
the plus point in TOEFL is that when the questions are asked, they highlight which passage it is from. So it becomes helpful for you to find the information in the passage. Okay. Each passage
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
will contain 10 questions each. Okay. All the questions have 1 point to it except the last question. The last question, question number 10, has 2 points to it. Okay, and that is why it is
Yes, ma'am.
very scoring, and if you make even one mistake over there, your whole score, overall score, gets affected because of it. Now, of course, we'll go to the question types also. Do not get confused on that
Yeah.
part as of now. Okay, then
Yes,
you
ma'am.
move to listening. Second skill that is assessed is listening. For listening, overall you get 36 minutes. In this, you will have 3 lectures and 2 conversations. 3 lectures will be just how the actual lectures are. You will just be listening to a professor. Sometimes the lecture might be a two-way lecture. For example, even the students are giving their opinion, even the students are putting forward their point, or they are asking some questions in between. And when these kind of lectures come in, there are a lot of distractors also. Distractors means uh, they might, move away from the main topic that they are discussing in the lecture. Okay, the student
Yes.
might ask some silly question that is not the actual information, or the student might say something which you might consider a fact, but the professor goes ahead and explains on it and says how it is wrong. Correct. But as a student, when you're listening to it, as a test taker, when you're listening to it, you don't know whether it's a fact or just some sentence she is putting forward or a point that she is putting forward. Correct. So we tend to get distracted
Yeah.
with it, and when the
Yeah.
lecturer clarifies it, we do not pay attention, and then we get distracted because of that. So that's what distractors are. But usually when it's a
Yes.
proper lecture, it's better, I would say, because you just listen to whatever the professor is saying and you answer based on it. Okay, so it becomes easier. But yes, your listening
Yes,
skills
ma'am.
need to be very, very good, and along with listening skills, active listening skills need to be very, very good. Now, what is active listening skill? Listening to understand and not to respond to it. Now, usually what happens is whenever we are in listening, we have whenever we are speaking to anyone, we have our own thoughts, we have our own problems going on in life. Correct. We don't pay attention to whatever the person is saying, and we get distracted. We go into our own thoughts. We keep thinking of, oh, I have to reach office by 2, so I have to leave by 1. I have to eat food, I have to eat
Yeah.
my lunch,
Yes,
before
ma'am.
that I have to get ready. These are all the distractions
Yes,
that
ma'am.
we have in our own mind. Correct. When we are listening to
Yes. Yes,
someone,
ma'am.
when we are conversing with someone. But active listening is just listening by focusing on it, because in test, sorry for the background sound, for the test it becomes important, because even if you
Yes.
miss 1 point over there, you might not know, it might come up as a question and you might not have that in your notes because you did not pay attention, and then that question came up and you have not heard properly, and because of that you lost 1 mark over
Yeah.
there. Correct. So that's why
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
what I tell my students usually, and what you should do as a test taker is, of course you should take notes when you're listening, and listening skill is
Yes,
important
ma'am.
in not only listening but speaking and even
Yes, ma'am.
writing. When you take notes for it, it's important. But you should take comprehensive notes, but do not get distracted by notes. That's first point. Just because you're writing, it shouldn't happen that you couldn't pay attention on what was being said by the professor in the
Yes, ma'am.
lecture. That's first thing.
Yeah.
And see, you should listen so actively that even if you have not taken a note of it, if it comes up as a question, you should still be able to answer that question. Okay, because
Yes,
every
ma'am.
time you
Yeah.
can't rely on your notes. This is from my personal experience, of course, because say if we happen to forget anything or we happen to not take notes, we should still be able to answer the questions. So note taking is not everything, at least for listening. For speaking and writing, of course you need to take notes, otherwise you will not be able to express your answer over there properly, you will not be able to
Mm.
respond properly. But for listening, even if you don't take enough notes, you should still be able to answer the questions. It's hardly 4 to 6 minutes of lecture. I am sure your memory is good and you will be able to remember that much, and hardly 6 questions are asked. So that's how your
Yeah.
listening skills should be. That even if you've not taken notes, you should be able to answer the questions which are given. Okay,
Yes.
that's how
Yeah.
actively you should be listening. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't take notes, you should take notes, but your notes shouldn't be distracting. Because you were taking
Mhm.
notes, it shouldn't happen that you did not listen to what was being said. Okay,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
is also something very very important. And same thing goes for a conversation. Now conversations will be conversations in academic settings. Again, you won't listen to conversations which are friendly conversations. You will listen to conversations which are say among the officer in the office, or like officer in the academic setting or on the campus, uh,
Yeah.
and a student. So for example, say a student is going and asking for a transport pass, or he is going to a librarian and he is asking some questions about the library timings. So that's how the
Yes.
conversations will be. Or other types of conversations are the student and the professor are conversing among themselves. They're talking about the assignment, they're talking about the research project. These kind of conversations will be there. Okay,
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
move to speaking. In speaking, you have 4 tasks. Okay, first one is the independent task. Independent task is supposed to be the easiest because it's a choice based task that you will be given. Either it will be a choice based task, or it will be kind of a task which is ask about your preference again. Okay, for example, do you prefer studying in a cafe, or do you prefer studying in a cafe, a library, or at your home?
That's right.
Okay, so these kind of preference will be given. Now what students feel, that usually when we were in school, we were asked to cater to all the points given in the question, correct? But in this test, you don't have to cater to all the points. Okay, just because options are given cafe, library, and home, you shouldn't cater to all of them, because you have to respond only in 45 seconds. First task, you get only 45 seconds to record your response. Okay, so you
Yes.
have to comprehend everything in those 45 seconds. So it shouldn't be very long. Over here, if 3 choices are given, or even if 2 choices are given, take up any one choice that you are okay with, which you will be able to speak on, which you will be able to give examples on, and explain it. Okay, say if you prefer studying in a cafe, use that as a response. Okay, I prefer studying in a cafe because I can be with my friends, I can order anything that I want, I can eat whatever I want. At home, my mom is there who doesn't allow me to eat anything. So these kind
Yeah.
of responses can be given. You can give real life examples also. Okay, so
Yes.
you can
Yeah.
respond by in this way. Then you come to integrated tasks. You know already what are integrated tasks. We just discussed that integrated tasks are, the first one will be like the task number 2 will always be a conversation among two students.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you will listen,
Yeah.
you will get a reading passage first. A reading passage is a passage which is supposed to be a notification for the university. Okay,
Yes.
for example, say the university has decided to increase the fees, so that notification has
Yes.
been put forward. Now,
Yeah.
based on this notification, you will hardly get 45 seconds to 50 seconds to read it, depending on how big the notification is. Based on this, two students who are studying in the university will be giving their opinions. Now in this, one of the student will have strong opinion about the notification. What do I
Yeah.
mean by strong opinion? That he or she is against the notification. He or she doesn't want the university to increase the fees because it's already high, and they are paying a lot and the facilities are not good. There are a number of reasons why the student doesn't want the
Yeah.
notification to be true. And most of the times, like 99% of times, you will be asked question based on the opinion of that student.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, why does the student oppose, or why does the student have a strong opinion? Give the examples used by the students. So you have to make sure that you make notes of the points that the student puts forward. Okay, and you
Yeah.
have to express it in your own words. Okay, now understand this: when you do speaking, you have to express it in your own words. You can't use the same wordings used in the lecture or in the
Yes,
conversation.
ma'am.
Okay, you will
Yeah.
need to rephrase it, you will need to paraphrase it. How to do that? I am there to help you. Don't worry about it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
then you come to task number 3. Task number 3 is your lecture. You will read a passage, and you will listen to a lecture based on it. Now, when you come to lecture part and when you come to the reading part, especially your integrated skills, same goes for your
Yeah.
task number 3 and same goes for your task number 1 in writing. If you have ever observed when you were in university, the reading passage or the book might say one thing and the professor will say something opposing to it. For example, evolution theory. We all have learned evolution theory by Darwin in our school and college. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Many professors are against that evolution theory because they say that okay, he has just given, of course we read it in our textbooks, but the professors usually oppose it by saying okay, he has written this theory but there are not enough proofs given by him. Correct? There are
Yeah.
no concrete proofs to them, right? So that's how professors
Yes, ma'am.
usually oppose whatever is given in textbooks. Correct? Now in task number 3 and your task number 1 in writing, you will usually get, say, something different in your reading passage. Of course it will be on the same point, say it's talking about the evolution theory, but usually your reading passage will put forward the facts and your professor will oppose those facts. That's one way of it. Or there might be some problems given in the reading passage and your professor will provide solutions to it. Okay, that's how your
Yeah.
reading passage and lecture will be. So you will be asked to synthesize both the information and put forward the points. Okay, but they will
Yeah.
be related points. For example, say if they are talking about pollution, if they are talking about pollution by transport, right? Then
Yeah. Yeah.
that's air pollution. Then they will put forward say 3 points and then they will give solutions to those 3 points. The lecturer will give solutions to those 3 points. So your reading
Yeah.
passage and your listening go hand in hand, but they will be contradicting information most of the times. Okay, then comes your task number 4 in speaking. Your task number 4 in speaking will always just be listening. You will not have a reading passage over here. You will just listen to a
Yeah.
lecturer and he will put forward a definition. Your the question will always be similar. That is, you will be asked to define the topic and then put forward the examples used by the professor. Okay, so when you make notes, that is how you
Yeah.
should be making notes. Okay, you will need to provide a definition, so you should make note of the definition
Yeah.
and then you should make note of the examples. Of course you will paraphrase the examples in your own words. That's how your speaking will be. Okay,
Yeah.
then you have your writing. In
Yes,
writing,
sir.
as I told you, again you will be reading a passage. The passage would be similar. It would be say 200 300 words long and you will be given 3 minutes to read the passage. Okay, and based on the passage you will listen to a lecture. Again it will be kind of opposing to whatever you read. Now in this, sure you will get 3 points. Okay, like 3 pointers, 3 contradicting information will be
Mhm.
given and that you have to put forward in an essay format. Overall you get 29
Yeah,
minutes
ma'am.
for writing, but 20 minutes for task 1 and 10 minutes for the task number 2, around 10 minutes for the task number 2. Okay, now you have
Yeah,
20
ma'am.
minutes, so you have to put forward it an essay format. We know the essay format already, but still I would reiterate. Your first passage, it contains 5 passages. Your first paragraph, it contains 5 paragraphs. Your first paragraph will be only introduction, where you will introduce the topic. That okay,
Yeah.
reading passage and the lecture both talk about noise pollution example or air pollution example.
Yeah.
Okay, then you come to paragraph number
Yeah.
1, paragraph number 2, which is your body paragraph number 1, where you will put forward the
Yeah.
first point which the reading passage and the lecturer puts forward. Okay, you will explain whatever they have said.
Yes.
Then in paragraph number 3, which is your body paragraph number 2, you will put forward the second point that they have given. Okay, Now,
Yeah.
in third paragraph, third body paragraph, you'll put forward the third point, and then the paragraph number 5 is your conclusion paragraph. Here you will conclude by saying that okay, these are the problems given by the passage and these are the solutions given by the lecturer. That's how you conclude.
Yeah.
Even if it's one line conclusory, you still have to
Yeah.
conclude it. Okay, you still have to give that paragraph. That's how your essay would be. Now,
That's right. Yeah.
by the test makers, they have asked you to write it in 150 to 225 words. Of course, I still
Yes.
need to understand your writing skills. So I would say you
Yeah.
should write at least 225 to 250 words. You are not marked
That's right.
negatively for writing more words. But the more data you give them, it helps you to get a better score. It shows your language proficiency. But I
Yeah.
would only prescribe you to write 250 words if you do not make many grammatical errors and you do not make lot of spelling errors. If you make
Yes.
lot
That's right.
of grammatical errors and spelling errors, then I usually ask the students to stick to 200 words, 175 200 words, because the more mistakes you make, the more negatively marked you are, right?
Yeah.
So that is
Yes, sir.
also harmful for us, I would say. So only if your language
Yeah.
skills are good, then go for 250 words. If your language skills are not so good, if you make a lot of spelling errors, usually we don't make many grammatical errors. Looking at your language skills, I
Yeah.
would say that, but spelling errors are something that we need to make sure of. So if you feel that you make a
Yes.
lot of spelling errors, then don't go for more than 200 words. Okay,
Yes, sir.
it should help you
Yeah.
get a good score, don't worry. And of
Yeah.
course, there are, if you make a lot of spelling errors, we'll go through the rules for spellings also, which will help you to remember the spellings perfectly in the test. Okay, like there are
Yes.
solutions to it, but of course we need to work on it. Then
Yes, sir.
next we come to academic discussion task. Here you get 10 minutes, and this is kind of an academic discussion. Now academic discussion is nothing but a forum based discussion. Now you might know, in foreign, like not in India but in foreign countries, even in your country I would say, students are
Yeah.
asked to think out of the box. Students are asked to think out of the classroom as well, correct? So
Yes, sir.
they
Yeah.
want you to initiate a conversation with your classmates but out of the classroom and think sometimes out of the box as well. So that is why most of the universities, they have a forum where a professor will go ahead and put forward his viewpoint and then put forward an open ended question, okay, which will make you think of it. Now based on this, two of your imaginary classmates will have already responded to it. Okay, now
Yeah.
you have to read whatever they have responded, you have to read whatever points the professor has put forward, and you have to give your opinion based on it. Okay,
Yeah.
so for example, right now we were talking about air pollution, correct? So your professor
Yeah.
say he teaches about environment and he has put forward this question that okay, air pollution is a big threat to our environment currently and it leads to global warming. So he
Yeah.
will put forward the point saying that okay, reducing the number of cars is something that we can do, or reducing the number of electronic devices that we use can be one solution to it. What do you think are your solutions? How would you work towards a better future? Correct, that could be his question, and based on this, two of your classmates will have responded by saying that okay, I will reduce the number of electronic devices that I use. I will do carpooling, correct, with my
Yeah.
classmates to come to the university. And the third student will say that okay, it's not only our job, it's the job of the whole community to take care of environment. So you will see that the two students who respond, they will mostly be of contradicting again opinions. Okay, one will say that okay, I agree with whatever the professor is saying, and one will say that the I disagree with whatever professor is saying, kind of indirectly. Of course he will not say it directly, because of course he's responding to a professor. Your task is to of course go with your opinion, whatever you feel, you will respond based on that.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, but after you give your
Yes, ma'am.
opinion, you will take up one point from what your classmates have also said. Okay, any one of them, not both, any one of them. So if you say pro topic, then you will take up that person's opinion. You will say that okay, I agree with whatever she's saying, or You will, if you are opposing it, then also you can go for pro, whoever has taken pro topic, and you will say I agree with Chloe's point, but this is also another point that contradicts it. Correct? See, you will do carpooling
Yeah.
every day, but what if that classmate is not coming to the class that day? What will you do?
Yeah.
Correct. And if you say,
Yes, ma'am.
if considering another student's point that okay, she is saying that it's a community thing, that we all need to work towards it, one person working on it is not going to be helpful. Correct. But then you can say that okay,
Yeah.
one person working on it is not going to helpful, but it needs to start somewhere. Correct. I agree with Chloe's
Yeah.
point that one person can't work towards a better future, but someone needs to start. When you do
Yes.
it, even your family members will start doing, your friends will start doing. Correct? And then
Yes.
we work towards that better future. So that's how you can put forward your points over here. Okay. Of course, we are going to
Yeah.
practice on it, which will give you a better exposure, I would say, of what I'm trying to say over here. Another
Yeah.
point that you need to remember is only in task number 1 of speaking and only in task number 2 of writing you are supposed to give your opinion. In
Yes.
no other task you will give your opinion. You will just put forward whatever you heard, whatever you read. Okay? You will
Okay.
not give
Yeah.
your opinion anywhere else. Yeah, that
Yes,
is
ma'am.
very very important. Usually students feel that as
I
written
don't know.
essay, I can, explain whatever I want, or I can put forward whatever I want. No, you can't do that. Okay, in this writing
Yes,
academic
ma'am.
task, in written academic task, you will write in about 100 words, but again, you can write at least 150 words to get a better score if you have good writing skills. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
that is
Yeah.
what is expected, that is what is suggested. Yeah,
Yeah.
overall the test is of 120 points. Okay,
Yes,
120
ma'am.
score, like the total score that you get. Each skill has max 30 marks to it, or 30 points, they call it points in TOEFL IBT, your guide.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have 30 points for reading, 30 points for listening, 30 points for speaking, and 30 points for writing. In reading you
Yes.
have overall 22 points, only 20 questions and 22 points, and those 22 points are converted to the scale of 30. Okay,
Yes.
in listening you have 28 questions, and those 28 questions answers, like the correct responses, would be converted to a scale of 30. Okay, in speaking,
Yeah.
for each task you get overall 4 points.
Yeah.
Okay, so those 4 points go to 16 overall, and those 16 are converted to the scale of 30. Okay, in
Yeah.
writing, for each task you get 5 points, and those 10 points are converted to the scale of 30. Okay, now
Yeah.
what is that conversion scale? We do not have the exact numbers with us, but we know how it gets converted. Okay, we have that scale which helps us to understand the conversion. Okay, say if you have got 19 questions correct out of 22, that is 19 points out of 22 points, then we know how to convert it to the scale of 30. Okay, that tentatively gives
Yeah.
you a score of 25, 26. So we have that skill, so don't worry about it. As we are authorized consultants of ETS, we get a lot of
Yeah.
study material from ETS directly. We use the same study material. Now what happens is students usually ask me which site should we use for practice, which site should we use for self practice. Basically, I usually
Yeah.
suggest that you can take up any site, but the thing is the difficulty level will vary. You will come across many sites which have TOEFL reading passages, listening passages, but the difficulty level varies. Okay, when you use the official study material, that becomes better because it is provided by the test makers directly. Correct? So they
Yeah.
provide you
Yeah.
with the exact difficulty level. Correct? So I would
Yeah.
say use most of the study material that I provide, but yes, for extra practice, for extra uh, self practice, you can use any site. I do not have any say in that as such. Okay, but usually
Okay.
mostly I would say refer to the study material that I am sharing. I'm going to share the TOEFL guide with you. I have it, I have a soft copy of it. Have you
Yeah.
purchased it already?
No, ma'am.
No, no. So I'll give you that soft copy. Don't worry, I have it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Along with that, we would be starting, like, we'll go through the reading question types, we'll go through listening question types. Each question type, there are around 9 to 10 question types in each. Okay, we'll go through that. Speaking, we have kind of gone through the format, but we'll still look at the question types and practice a bit on it. Then we'll go
Yeah.
through the question types of writing also, and then we go ahead to our modules which are there. Okay, so we will cover
Yeah.
modules for each of them, and we'll go through each question types again with some of the skills, say how to paraphrase, how to respond, how to understand what the professor is trying to say, because that question is again very difficult. Why does the professor say this? And they will play that audio again. Correct, that part
Yeah.
is a little difficult to understand. Now in listening, I know that you know already as you have given the test, but still better to put it forward, that in
Yeah.
listening you get to listen to the lecture first, and you have to listen to the lecture and make notes, and then you get questions on the screen. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't get questions along with the listening. So that's something that we do not do over here. And same thing goes for integrated tasks in speaking and integrated task in writing. You listen to the audio first and then you answer, and you get to play the audio only once. Correct, only if you
Yeah.
have that question, why does the professor say this, or why does the professor student say this, then that 5
Yeah.
second or 10-second clip would be played again. Otherwise you just get to listen to the audio only once. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the usual test format. I guess
Yeah.
for today we'll just stop over here, because I have already bombarded you bombarded you with lot of information. Though you have gone through the
Yeah.
test before, but if you have not gone through the TOEFL guide, I'm sure you must not have looked at the test from this perspective. Correct? Usually, what students do is they just register for the test and they go directly go to the test center and give the test, but they do not
Yeah.
go through
It's
the
just,
test format, or they do not try to understand what does the each question or what does the each task expect from you. Correct.
yes,
So
ma'am.
that is
Yeah.
also something. Now of course, when we go through speaking and writing, even when we go through the question types for reading and listening, we'll try to
Yeah.
understand what each task and what each question expects from you. Where in reading especially, where are you supposed to look for the information and where are you not supposed to look for the information? Usually we get
Yes, ma'am.
distracted over there. In speaking also,
Yeah.
when you respond, what is the response that you will give, how you will start your answer, how you will end your answer. Correct, that is also very very
Yeah.
important, because see, your language skills are good, we all know that your language skills are good, but you need to synthesize the information when you're putting forward your points. The words like firstly, secondly, therefore, hence, all these questions, all these words show that okay, you're able to synthesize the information and put it forward. Correct, so that becomes
Yeah.
important. Same thing goes in writing. Even if your language skills are good, to get that 5 out of 5, it's important that you use good connectors. These are called connectors. You use good connectors, you connect the information, you when you transition from one point to another point, you are able to do that transition in a very nice way. You're able to put forward the points properly the way it is supposed to be. That shows your
Yes,
language
ma'am.
skills. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so that is something that we are going to go through each for each task type. Okay, don't worry about that. Any other
Yeah.
questions that you have, anything that you did not understand you want me to repeat?
Yeah. Most of the things, okay, ma'am, clear.
Uh-huh.
But this, when is there any difference between the paraphrase and okay, we'll just discuss it during the reading course. We'll discuss
Mm-hmm.
all things.
Paraphrase is
Yeah.
nothing but whatever is being said, you put it in your own words. For example,
Okay.
uh, the professor is saying the wild cat, oh sorry, the wild lion, or the professor is just saying lion. Now you need
Yeah.
to put forward it in your own words. You cannot say lion, lion, lion every time. Correct, so you will say
Yeah.
the enormous cat
Yeah.
instead of saying lion. Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
that's what
Yeah.
becomes paraphrasing. Instead of saying large, you say humongous. Okay,
Yeah.
so you use
Yeah. Yeah.
different words, and not only basic words but a little higher level of words. Okay, now
Yeah.
see, TOEFL nowhere asks you to be Sashi Tharoor. He does not ask you to be, sorry, the test does not ask you to be very proficient in English and use very fancy words. I call them fancy words because not everyone
Yeah.
understands these words, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
TOEFL does not demand that you use lot of fancy words. TOEFL does not demand that okay you use every second word which is say C1 C2 level of words. But in between if you use good words then it shows that okay you don't have basic level but you have good level of English. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that you need to understand is if you come across words in academic settings which are used, for example, say syllabus, say course material, you should know these words. You should be familiar with them. They shouldn't be uh, alien words for you. That is also very, very important. Okay.
Yeah.
Even you will
Yeah.
see that in reading passage also, when we'll go through the test format, you'll understand what I'm saying.
Yes,
When
sir.
we'll go to the question types, you'll understand what I'm saying. When you look at the vocabulary questions which are asked in reading also, they are very basic. Okay, like if you speak in English every day, you should not face any issue with them. Okay, that's how
Exactly.
your words are. For example, say one word that we would look in the example also is locomotion. We all know what is locomotion, correct? Even if we don't know the exact meaning of it, we'll still understand that okay, it talks about movement of some kind because the word
Yeah.
motion is there. So these kind of words will be there. Okay, so they are not very very high level words, I would say. They are
Yeah.
intermediary level words. So it's not very easy to get a good score in this examination. You just need to understand what the question is looking for. Okay, once
Yeah.
you understand the question, you are able to answer it very well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something.
Yeah.
Understood? Any other
Yeah.
questions? Tell
Ma'am,
me.
is there any role for these phrasal verbs and collocations and type of this?
Yes.
We need to go through this one extensively, or need just a
It totally
surface
depends
view?
on your language skills. Now, according to the test that you have given, your language skills are good. Okay, so I don't think you should face any issue with it. But as you keep giving the mock tests also, I will get a better idea of it. Okay, but if
Yeah, ma'am.
it's good if you go through collocations, if you go through phrasal verbs, because see, understand this, of course you're giving a test, that is the reason you need it, but otherwise also when you move through when you move to another country, people whom you're going to talk to are going to use fancy words, are going to you know use some fancy sentences. You should know what
Yeah.
they're saying. You shouldn't face an issue at that time. Okay, because understand this,
Yeah.
English is not required only for the test that you're giving. English is required to converse over there in a better way also,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So that's how you should look at it, I would say. Yeah, for
Yeah.
example, if the person whom you're working with over there says let's go and grab a snack, you shouldn't
Yeah.
feel what does grab a snack means, or
Yeah.
let's grab something to bite. That's how the
Yeah.
phrasal verbs are or idioms are. So you should know what grab a
Yeah.
bite means. So that's how
Yeah.
your language skills should be good, I would say. It's not only required for the test, it's required otherwise also. So
Okay.
if you have the opportunity to work on it, you should take that opportunity, I feel. If you have some time. And every day I
Yeah.
would say you should dedicate at least 1.5 hour for your studies. Okay, along with
Yeah,
that
ma'am.
listen to some videos, listen to some podcasts which will help you to understand in listening tasks. Okay,
Yeah.
what the other person is saying, and listen to audios like podcasts or any kind of audios or any kind of intermediate level or advanced level of listening exercises which are from various accents, usually from US
Yeah.
accent or British accent. Okay, because Indian
Yeah.
accent is easy to understand, even your accent
Yeah.
is easy to understand, but the accents which are from UK and US are a bit difficult to understand. Okay,
Yeah, ma'am.
and along
Yeah.
with that you can go through the lectures because for TOEFL IBT you usually get lectures, correct? So go through some
Yeah.
lectures which have been put forward on YouTube which are free. So go through the lectures, go through the take up any topic that you are in, for example according to your job profile. For example, say if you are a pharmacist, correct? So Listen to those lectures and see if that makes sense to you, if you're able to understand. Observe the lecture format. Okay,
Yes, sir.
how
Yeah.
the lecturer puts forward the definition of it, how he gives examples, how he uses fillers in between also. Because whenever someone is talking, they will take pauses, they will take false starters. These are called false starters, that they start off
Yeah.
and then take a
Yeah.
pause and then come back to the topic again. Correct? Or you know what
Yes,
I
sir.
mean to say, these kind of fillers are used. So these help you to understand the transitions, these help you to understand uh, the examples which are given. Correct?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
understand that and then move to topics which are unknown to you. For example, say you listen to some art lecture, you listen to some dance lecture where he's expressing dance as an art. When then you listen to some historical lectures, because these are the topics that you will get in your TOEFL IBT. Okay, of course, when we go through reading question types, I'll introduce you the topics also. Listen to some astronomical lectures which are given, astrophysics has been
Yeah.
explained. Of course, they won't be given
Yeah.
in depth, they would be given very briefly so that you are able to understand, as we are not from science background. But again, when you come across the words like astrophysics, thermodynamics, you should know these words. Correct?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
expect, nothing else. You should know at least what it means. It's just from general knowledge, you don't need to know the definition of it, but at least you should have heard those words, I would say. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's
Yeah.
how your test will be. Yes, we'll go through each
Inshallah.
question type and we'll practice on it also, so don't worry. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
any
Inshallah.
other questions?
Yeah, for now, up to now, okay, it's fine. Mashallah, brief. Everything is clear.
Okay,
And
great.
hopefully, inshallah,
Yes,
we have a good start. Inshallah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, we'll practice also, don't worry. Okay, and
Yeah.
usually 1 hour before the class I confirm the class, just like today. You also
Yeah.
respond by saying that okay, I will be attending. Okay,
Yeah.
just to make sure that the student is available, nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be like 10:30 there even until
Yeah, for
31st.
you it will be 10:30, for me it is 12 p.m. over here. So we'll keep it 10:30 for now, and maybe
Yeah.
after Eid we'll see if we want to change it or we'll keep it the same. Let's see. I also need to put forward my schedule. Usually what I do is during the
Yeah.
month end I make my schedule for the next month. So that's the reason. So if possible I'll
Yeah.
prepone it, otherwise we'll keep it the same. Okay?
Yeah. That's fine. Then that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, then we'll stop here for today. We'll continue
Yeah.
tomorrow.
So okay. Okay. Thank you, man.
Chalo,
Thank you
no
very much, man.
problem. No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Have a
Yeah.
great day ahead.
You too, man. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.